spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of the Scaryish podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, and this is Adam Diaz,
Hello.
and that was really quiet.
It is really quiet because it's like 2 a.m. as we record right now, and it's been kind of a crazy day trying not to wake everyone in the house up. So, yeah. Thank you all for joining us for this new episode of Scaryish. I'm super excited.
This is the 200th episode.
I mean, this is the 200th episode we've put out because we have 105.
Of the story times.
We have 105 topic episodes, 95 story times, and if my abacus is correct here, that puts us at 200, which is pretty cool. So that's a fun milestone to hit.
It is.
So are you excited about this episode?
I am excited about this episode.
What are you going to be covering?
I am. So this week I'm going to be doing like a bit of a menagerie, like when we did the Japanese legends. So I'm going to cover a couple things, except this time I'm going to the Philippines.
Right on. Pretty excited. There's a lot of really good stuff over in the Philippines.
Yeah, there were quite a few.
So anyone who's looking at this knows what I'm covering, but I'm going to keep it vague for Robin. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to be covering a curse this episode.
So I'm just going to say throughout the night while he's been researching, he was just like, oh man, what? Wow, that's crazy.
Some pretty crazy shit. So I'm excited to get to it. Before we get started, a couple of things. If you're looking for homegrown horrors, you're going to have to go to the Storytime episodes to get those. Robin, what are homegrown horrors?
So homegrown horrors are the paranormal supernatural stories, experiences really, that you, your friends, your family have had and actually have the time to write out and share to us, and we get to share it with all our spooky friends.
Indeed. And if you have a story like that you'd like to send, email storytime@scaryish.com. Or go to our website, scaryish.com, and click on Contact Us. You can also hit us up on any of our social medias. We have Twitter, Facebook, and Insta. And I'll give you those right now. If you go to scaryish.com, you can go to all our links for our social medias, or you can just go to facebook.com/scariyishpodcast. Our Twitter handle is @scariyishpod, and Instagram is @scariyishpodcast. Before we get started, I just want to say that we started watching this new show on Netflix.
Oh, gosh.
Called V Wars.
It
has Damon from...
It has Ian Somerhalder in it. And that was the only reason why we started watching it, why I started watching it. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then as the series is going on, there are the people from Bitten in it. So I don't know if you ever watched Bitten.
Nope.
But it's a book series, okay? It's a book series, I think by Kelly Armstrong. I don't remember. But it's about werewolves, okay?
Who would have guessed it?
It's about werewolves. And the main point of Bitten is that there's finally a female werewolf. It never happens.
What?
But, so the main character from Bitten is also in V Wars. And then the head of her werewolf clan, I don't remember what they call them.
Pack.
Pack, yes. The head of their pack is also in V Wars. So I was like, oh my god, it's so cute.
So here's the thing about V Wars. It sucks.
It's not good.
It is not good, and I hate it so much.
We watch a lot of vampire shows, okay? And this one is just not good.
The dialogue when it comes to like anything,
it's too forced.
It's terrible. It's like
bad.
It's like the writing is from people that have not really talked to each other
right.
before. Like there's like a reporter in it, and she's like, biggest font you got. And it's like, that's not how fucking computers work. You don't change the font to find one that's big. You just change the font size. Like, It's just, there's such shitty dialogue, and you're like, why would they act like this just the whole time? And we watched like 4 or 5 episodes one night, and the entire time I'm like, I hate this show.
What it really just made me want to do was go back and watch The Strain again, because I thought The Strain was really good.
I did too. What it really made me want to do was gouge out my fucking eyeballs because it was atrocious, and I couldn't even apologize to my brain for the information that was being filtered through the 2 fleshy knobs at the front of my face.
2 fleshy knobs?
I guess they're not knobs, but still, I was just like so annoyed watching. I was like, this sucks balls. But yeah, that's my quick review of V Wars. I told Robin that I think the season's going to end with like the war officially kicking off, and someone's like, it's war. It's V War. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right, so.
Well, I already told you that they said it's war.
Yeah. So I've called that line, and I'm guessing that V War will eventually show up.
Yeah, but that's not the end.
Yeah, you're not at the end of the season, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right, so.
All
right, so let's go ahead and move into these topics. I will say, even though it's super late right now, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a long episode. You guys can already see how long this episode is because it tells you when you look at it. But yeah, strap in because I think we're going to have some good stuff. So I think you are going to go first this week.
Yes, I am going to go first.
So take it away.
All right, so as I said, I'm going to do like a little mix of a couple different mythical creatures from the Philippines. We've gotten a lot of requests to do a creature episode and get a lot of different myths and legends and stuff from the Philippines. I don't think I actually covered this particular one that someone said that we should cover, but I did get a few. There are a lot from there, so I think I'm going to have to go back again and maybe do another episode down the road for stuff like that. But for now, we're going to get into the ones that I did choose. So the first one that I'm going to cover is called the Duende, and it was spelt a whole bunch of different ways all over the internet. This one was the one that immediately caught my eye first, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to cover that one. Because I remember I was just going through things, and when I said that, Adam's like, really? I thought you were going to do a whole bunch. And I was like, yeah, this one's like the one that really caught my eye and had a whole bunch of stuff on it. So I was like, oh, this is great. But I did choose a couple other ones. So
I wound up being right on that.
Yes, but what was funny is this duende is not to be confused with this a cappella group called Duende.
It's an a cappella group called Duende?
Yes, and I don't think it's not related. I'm sure they
just something they're using as their name.
Right.
It'd be like if an a cappella group was called like Loch Ness Monster.
That would be so cute though. 10 out of 10.
They came out and they were dressed up like a Loch Ness Monster and then they all split apart.
10 out of 10 would listen to that.
You're welcome, musicians. I just gave you an idea.
But I kind of want to watch Pitch Perfect later because just seeing a cappella group, I was like, I love that movie so much. So the
first one really is just so good.
The first one is the best.
Oh yeah, obviously. It's just also a really good movie.
I haven't even watched the third one, so
I was very disappointed in the second one, so I didn't watch the third.
Yeah.
So that happens for me a lot.
So the Duende is a humanoid creature that is featured in Iberian, Latin American, and Filipino folklore. So it does have inspiration from a whole bunch of different places. Apparently, what Duende comes from a Spanish term, duende, or dueño de casa, which according to the internet means possessor of the house.
Interesting.
So kind of like landlord, I suppose. And spoilers.
Person who wears the pants.
Yeah, well, I gave you away the whole thing because it's like a possessor of the house, right? It's like naming Darth Vader.
Wow, you're doing a Pitch Perfect line?
Heck yeah, if Pitch Perfect has taught me anything, Vater in German is father. So it's like spoilers. They name things according to what they are, right? Also, Star Wars is in a little over a week from now, so I'm kind of excited about
December
that.
December 19th, yeah.
The hype is real. Yeah,
it's like 10 days away. No, it's less now. We're into 12/10 right now. So it's 9 days away.
Yeah,
fun.
And we already have our tickets, so.
Oh yeah, we were set like very quickly.
Okay, so I don't even remember what theater we're going to. That I have to check. Anyway,
it's Galaxy.
So Duende are a little different in each country that they're known, but overall, they're these small creatures, like these small beings that live in outdoor areas. Portuguese and Latin Americans believe that they live in forests, like a type of forest spirit. More Hispanic cultures of Mexico and the American Southwest believe that they live in the walls of homes, supposedly focused on the walls of bedrooms that belong to young children. So that's super creepy.
Yeah, it is. I'm happy about this, though, because I'm 34, so I'm not a young child anymore.
But you will have one.
I don't feel threatened. Well, yeah, but I don't feel threatened right now.
Okay, so in the Philippines and the Mariana Islands, they're said to mainly live in rocks and caves, but are known to live in older trees and then in areas of homes that are dark and kind of unused that people don't really go in that often. Which is, again, super creepy. They like to hide in the shadows, apparently. Weirder still is that they're even known to live in anthills and termite mounds, which is, all right. It just seems kind of weird to choose that as a place that you're going to live in, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if it's because people would avoid it. I don't know.
The ones that live in the anthills and the termite mounds are known to be a little different than the other ones that you would normally see. So these are known as the Old Man of the Mound in Tagalog, and I don't speak a lick of it, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it. There are a few things in this whole topic that, like the whole episode, that I'm gonna try to get through, and I apologize if they come out really wrong. So, legends say that these beings, these creatures, have a menagerie of treasures under their anthills. So they kind of keep all their gold and their gems and stuff that they kind of hoard under those anthills.
Okay.
Kind of like Smaug, protects his treasure.
Little bit, yeah.
I mean, he was in the mines, right?
He's also huge, and he's the one that protects his treasure rather than, I don't know, exporting that job to a bunch of ants.
What is this? A library for ants?
I hate you. A center for ants?
Oh, yeah, that's right. A center for ants.
Must be at least 3 times bigger than this.
Okay, so we need to watch Zoolander again because I freaking love that movie.
You haven't studied it in a long time.
I haven't studied it in a long time. That movie is so good. Okay, anyway, just that scene where they're bashing up the IMAX and stuff as monkeys is just so stupid.
IMAX? Or iMac, got you.
Yeah.
Plural. I was like, they
Yeah.
bash up a theater? What?
No. No. Or when they set the gas station on fire.
That song comes on all the time. And whenever I hear it, I'm like, yeah, orange mocha frappuccino. And she just looks at me like, what? So yeah, we definitely need to watch
Yeah, we need to watch it again. So these duende are comparable to goblins or elves, dwarves, that kind of thing, things that you would find in the forest. And Portuguese stories describe them as wearing big hats and singing tunes while they walk around.
That definitely sounds like dwarves.
You could say that they whistle while they work.
Wow.
Man.
You're being a real hi-ho right now.
Oh my god! Okay, anyway, according to some Filipino tales, they're seen as small old men with long beards, and the hat seems to be a trademark. A lot of people say the hats that they wear are kind of what the local farmers and stuff wear. Some say that they have a large eye in the middle of their forehead, which I thought was really weird, and a big nose with only one nostril.
Huh. They're a cyclostral.
What?
Like Cyclops,
I know,
but nostril?
Okay. What is common over each iteration of these creatures is their love or desire for children.
That's really creepy.
Yeah, I think that's super creepy, and I think that's kind of what grabbed me most about this one and made me go, I'm going to cover that one, because it was just so weird, right? So their love of kids can either be a good or bad thing, like they can play with them and stuff like that when they're in good moods. According to Filipino lore, you can tell by what they're colored whether they're good or bad. So white is good, apparently. So they're there to help
Racist.
you. I know. So they're there to help you, and they play with your kids and stuff like that. Black or red is them being there because they want to start trouble, cause mischief, that kind of thing. I wrote mischief and misery. Dilly
Wow.
dilly.
Wow. So, okay, is there other colors besides black, white, and red?
There's one source that I saw that said there's green ones.
And they're here for money.
Oh my god. Are you gonna
cash checks and snap necks.
Oh my god. Anyway, okay.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well.
God damn it. What's also said that they could do is that they can also tell your fortune. And that can go either way. They can put good fortune on you or bad fortune. It just kind of depends.
So are they determining your fortune, or are they just telling it to you?
I think they can determine it.
Okay, because I'm like, if it's a shoot the messenger situation, that's not really their fault.
No, I'm pretty sure they can be like, you lucky or you not. So it just depends.
Good accent. Now I really picture these creatures like they're here with me.
So they're known to do strange things. And they're sometimes known to be helpful and helping those that get lost in forests find their way home. And then the naughtier ones use their kinship with or knowledge of said forest to lure young children away from their homes, deeper into forests so that they lose their way.
So if they're so smart, why don't they just change their fucking clothes? Like, just wear white clothes, morons.
No, I think it's their skin color.
Oh, wow, that really is racist.
I don't know.
Holy shit.
I mean, they're little imps, right? They're just little forest spirits.
I don't know.
I mean,
you're painting the picture in my mind's eye right now with your mouth words.
Maybe they're like how Smurfs are blue, you know?
Okay. So, yeah, this is super racist. Okay.
I don't know if it's racist.
I was just picturing like the dwarfs from literally Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs just wearing different colored clothing because my brain is tired too.
I think they're just more like imps. Like little creatures like Smurfs that live in the forest, and they're just different colored Smurfs. Okay, they're not all blue.
Okay.
They can either cause these kids to lose their way, or they just up and hide / kidnap them. So they're not, they're not the best creatures to come across in the forest, I don't think. When they live within homes, because they want to be closer to kids, they try to clip any of the kids' unkempt toenails. So you better clip your kids' toenails.
It's nice for maintenance and everything, but it's pretty gross.
Well, so these creatures don't have licenses to do this on other people. And apparently, their attempts at trimming these unkept toenails result in the removal of entire toes by mistake.
So they're really bad at it, is what you're saying.
They're really bad. Don't trust a duende to do your nails, people. Just don't.
And if someone does your nails really bad, call them a duende.
Oh my god, that's messed up.
Unless it's like an actual insult, then don't do that.
Oh my god. On a more morbid side, apparently in the pre-colonial Philippines, these creatures were known as Mongolo and were believed to cause the death of children by eating their bowels.
Wow, dude.
But so the eating of bowels could probably cause the death of anyone, right?
I don't know anyone who's made better by their bowels being eaten, so yeah, I see what you're saying.
I assume these creatures don't use any type of medical skill. And again, these aren't licensed professionals. They're not doctors.
Do you think they have face masks on and they're like, number 5 scalpel, please?
But it's just...
medical skill.
I know. They're just eating these bowels, right? It would kill anyone. I don't think they're medically we're going to cut these out and then we're going to eat them.
We're just going to take a few inches off. It's okay.
It's such a weird thing, right? But magic maybe could help. Maybe they magic the bowels. And,
well, then why would they need to eat them?
But they still die.
Kill
the
kids
still die. But it's just such a weird thing. And duende aren't necessarily magical creatures. They don't have a lot of magic. But they can cause certain things to happen, like illnesses and stuff like that. So they may, at times, try to court a beautiful maiden, promising them a part of their hoard of fortune that they've hidden. And they love those with beautiful names and the ability to cook and sing. Who doesn't, right? Some say that they promise their fortunes to those who become their friends as well. So if you have any that are living in your home, treat them well, because maybe you get some gold or
right. You might wind up in the will.
In the will, yeah. I don't know if I wonder how long it takes for them to die.
I thought you were about to say, I don't think they do wills.
No.
No shit.
No, I wonder how long it takes, how long they live.
Okay, yeah. Their lifespan.
And, it's funny because I hate that now every time I see the word well or think the word well.
You think live fast, die young, bad girls do it well?
Yes, that's all I hear, and I hate you for it. It's, god dang it. So, supposedly, the black duende are bad, but you can kind of work with them. So, the nicer you treat them, the better off you'll be, but they're still not good
to be
guys.
Trusted?
Right.
Okay.
Then red are the most evil, and they're the ones to never keep promises. So they're totally untrustworthy. Never make a deal with one because they'll never keep their promise. Don't ever negotiate with them. Just leave them alone. Be as nice as possible to them and just walk away. Okay. And then there are the white ones that are calm and playful, but it's also important to keep a calm demeanor about them as well. So if you come across a white one, be calm, be courteous, be nice. But
don't mouth off.
Yeah, don't mouth off. Supposedly, these creatures only come out for an hour at noon and then again at night. So they only come out for 2 hours a day or something. That's
a really narrow window to eat those kids' bowels.
That's why I'm like, what the F? Okay, so if they do happen to show themselves to you, which is incredibly rare for them to do, you can mutter the words "tabi tabi po" to excuse yourself from having bothered them. And I probably said that wrong because I, again, know no lick of any type of language from the Philippines at all. None of them. You can also leave food on the floor of your house as a sort of offering to them, which is totally unsanitary. the better you
feel like that's why they use ants. It's like, go get that food on the floor because ants just naturally do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. The better you treat them, the more that these creatures become like a type of guardian for your home instead of someone who steals your things and then laughs at you after stealing them. They're kind of assholes.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because they will give your stuff back after you stop looking for it.
Wow. Once you've given up on it, like, here you go. I saw you bought a new can opener. Here's your old can opener.
Okay.
I also stole your receipt. I'll give it back when you buy another one.
Such douchebag. Yeah, it's okay. So you need to be sure not to offend them or step on them because it's said that you'll be cursed by them. It's like stepping on a cat's tail. No one wants to do that.
I think it's more like cursed at by them. Like, God damn it! You stepped on my foot. Do you pay any attention?
You don't want to damage or destroy their homes in any way. Some stories have it where they don't let you eat or talk and you just become more and more sluggish until you're ultimately sick. And it's an illness or pain that cannot be healed by any type of modern medicine. You actually have to call an albulario, which is like a herbal doctor, like a different type of not modern medicine type doctor. Supposedly, the ceremony that they would perform consists of melting candle wax into a spoon and then pouring that wax into water and then reading the shape that is formed by the wax, which is kind of how you discern how to combat the curse. So that herbalist, doctor person reads the wax, is like, okay, I see what's going on here. This is what we're going to do to try and combat it. A simpler, more messed up way to do it is you got to catch the thing that cursed you and then crush its head.
Wow. I thought you weren't supposed to kill these things. Oh, no, step on them. Yeah. Got it. So just pop its head.
You just crush it. Yep. Curb stomp that thing.
Wow. That's fucked up.
Oh, fuck. That's how. Okay. Anyway, moral of the story, just be kind to any of these types of forest creatures or anything that you come across. Safest bet is to just be respectful to people and to nature, and then you'll never have to worry about these creatures cursing you. I guess it's like a typical cautionary tale, you know, something that you tell your kids like, don't do that.
But then they wind up leaving fucking food on the floor to feed these stupid things.
That's why you have dogs. Anyway, so, okay, that is the duende. And the next one I'm going to cover is called the Manananggal. Shit.
Manananggal.
Yeah, this one's called Manananggal.
Manananggal. That's how I'm going to say it.
It's like that new person that we have that joins us in our live stream. Yes. Anyway, dang it. That name is so hard to say.
The name is just spelled MGGNG, I'm pretty sure. Like,
oh man.
So Magungung is what they're named.
Anyway, so this next one is going to be similar to something we've already covered, which is the Aswang. And this one is called, you know, what we tried to say just now. And
Manananggal.
Yeah. God, it's so hard to say.
Maganagal.
It's so. Did you say McGonagall? Okay.
It transforms into a cat, right? And it really loves Harry.
Oh my god, this one's really weird. So it's a type of aswang that can fly after it splits its body in half, like legs from torso. Okay, legs from torso, not symmetrically down the middle. That's just weird. So. I mean, this whole thing is weird.
Oh, yeah. When I was thinking of the other way, I was like, that's totally normal.
Okay, so the name is supposedly derived from the word tongal, which means to separate or to remove. And when separate, she grows these big, large, bat-like wings, and then flies into the night. It's... I don't know if she actually does that, but it's seen as a type of beautiful sorceress that visits different villages searching for a pregnant woman. And it leaves its lower half in a seldom visited area so that it's safe to leave while she goes and hunts. This part's a little confusing because she's also been described as scary and often hideous. So it's a little confusing, like, what is she? Is she beautiful or is she ugly? I don't get it. Maybe it's something like, she doesn't do it for some people, but some people are like, she is the most gorgeous person I've ever seen. You know?
Everybody is somebody something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she floats someone's boat.
Exactly.
Except for this part. So, this thing eats babies and fetuses, which is no surprise there, because it's kind of related to the Aswang, right?
Right.
So, they go for the mother's womb by using its long tongue. And what it does is it goes through a small hole in the roof of someone's house. So it sticks its tongue in the roof of someone's house. This tongue is ridiculously long, and it just, I don't know how they do it, but it probably wiggles its way through a bunch of doors or whatever. And it just puts Gene Simmons to shame, okay?
I was literally about to say, insert Gene Simmons joke here.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was in my brain.
Okay. So it goes through the belly button and then sucks the baby's blood, which is super fucked up. I don't know who the first person was that thought this was a cool story to tell, but dang, that's what? You know what I mean? It's morbid. Then, when she's not doing these horrific evil deeds, she's out there breaking up newlyweds and seducing men with, I would hope, her whole body.
I mean, she could seduce twice the men if she just split in half.
Legend has it that they're brides that have been left at the altar. So grooms are their preferable targets because they're like, fuck that guy, right? She lures them away before eating them alive. So you could say she's a man eater.
I knew it. You could also say the dude deserves it. Just saying. It's their way of like procreating is to eat an unfaithful man.
I don't know if that's procreating.
Well, if these women, you said these women are brides that were left at the altar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so they...
Yeah.
Well, no, but they're newlyweds. They're already married.
Oh,
so,
okay, got you.
Yeah. Apparently organs are their favorite parts. They like to eat those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Body part, not the musical instrument.
No.
We were just talking about weddings, so all I heard was an
shut
organ.
up. Dang it. Oh, I didn't even think about that. You're so smart. So... You need to be careful of getting turned into one, though, because there are a number of ways that this can happen. So there are these supernatural means that can turn you, probably someone putting a curse on you or something. And then there's something more physical. So you can lace someone's meal with the saliva, which is spit, or the flesh of one of these creatures. So if you make them...
So don't eat them or make out with them.
Oh, yeah, I bet... Well, no, they'd eat you once they lured you away and made out with you anyway.
Yeah.
So
obviously that's a really steadfast rule to live by.
Live fast, die young.
These bad girls do it well.
Dang it. Oh, man. Okay. Shit. I cannot... I hate you for making that just stuck in my head all day. All day.
You're welcome.
So some stories have... they tell about a girl who's turned into one that tells her boyfriend or something that she has an urge to eat sick people after being turned. So it's not specific, I suppose, once she gets turned. I don't know. It's just this...
Sick people seems very specific.
Well, like when they first exist, the originals, the OG, I guess.
Did you say the originals?
Yeah, like Vampire Diaries.
God.
So the originals are like, they want them babies, or they want the newlyweds, you know? But this turned one is like, nah, dog, sick people.
I just want sick people.
Lucky for you, though, vampire rules apply to this one. So sunlight is deadly to it, only when they're in their flying form. So, I mean, either way, you should get some hands on some UV lights or something. It's always nice to have on hand. Once she combines with her bottom half, she's not so easy to kill.
Like Power Rangers.
Yeah, like, I guess.
You know, once like they all join together.
Stegosaurus. I don't know if that's actually one of the dinosaurs.
A Stegosaurus, I think, is one of the dinosaurs.
Okay, all I know is like saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, I was going to say, if not, it should be. Pterodactyl, for sure.
Pterodactyl. That's the yellow... No, that's the
Tyrannosaurus!
Pink is pterodactyl. Yellow is saber-tooth tiger. I don't know if she says tiger. Tyrannosaurus is red.
Yes.
So who's Stegosaurus? Green? Is green actually one of them?
Green, yeah, I don't know. I'm not too well versed on the
the
Power Rangers, so...
all I know is Kimberly was my favorite growing up. I was probably a Pink Ranger for 2 years in a row. All right, so lost my place. Okay, so once she combines, she's not so easy to kill. Legends say that what you need to do is you need to find their lower half. You need to use salt, ash, and then like raw garlic, which in my opinion is very vampire slash
wow.
Which is very vampire slash witch themed, like witch-esque, with the salt. You know what I mean?
I mean, it sounds kind of like you're making a brisket.
Oh,
it's like salt.
But not the ash.
Yeah, the
That's
ash
gross.
part's weird. Unless you're like, just don't clean your steamer or whatever. Not your steamer.
What? You don't steam brisket, do
Shut
you?
up, I'm fucking tired. No, you don't steam
You mean
brisket.
smoker?
I don't think so. Yeah, I meant smoker or grill. Whatever.
Okay.
Just keep going.
So you need to rub these items on the fleshy, raw part of her bottom half. So like where she kind of rips herself up, you got to put all that salt and garlic and ash and stuff in the wound.
Got you.
And
do I inject it with anything? Like I feel like butter garlic would be really good on this.
Well, there's already garlic on it. You don't want to make it too garlicky.
No, you can't have enough garlic. Especially if this creature, will kill you unless you have garlic.
Pepper?
around.
Bring some pepper to go with that salt.
Sure. A little,
Pepper rub.
A little bit of cumin.
Yeah. I don't know, that brown sugar rub you make's pretty good. Okay. You're not trying to eat this person, though, okay? So
I actually make a brown sugar rub. She wasn't making a sexual reference or anything like that.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
My massages are called brown sugar rubs.
No, awkward. Okay, that's so weird. Anyway, so if you do that, it prevents her from coming back together because it's like she's not going to want to touch the salt.
Right.
Why are you laughing?
Just thinking about brown sugar rubs.
Oh my god. So if you want to keep one away from your house, you need to be sure to keep small containers full of salt, ash, and raw rice around. Also, apparently, the smell of burning rubber kind of keeps them away too, but that shit stinks anyway.
So kids, do burnouts in your parents' driveway to protect them from this creature.
Anyway, so different regions have these creatures, Mananangals, built differently, I guess. So some have these black chicks in their mouth. And I assume they mean baby chickens by black chicks, like black baby chickens. I don't know. Either way, whatever this thing is, it cannot die until you remove said chick. And so one way to do so, ironically enough, is to smoke the creature. And you hang it upside down by some sort of branch or something, and you just smoke it out.
Wow.
I don't know.
A little bit of thyme, paprika on the outside for sure.
Gotta brown sugar rub. So, or, God. Okay, so, or you can spin her around a bunch.
Do you spin her right round, baby? Right
Yes,
round?
you do. So you spin her around a bunch to make her dizzy, and then you get her to vomit the chick up. And that's how you can kill her, I guess. And that is the story of the McGonagall.
The McGonagall.
This last one I thought would be a much happier one for me to end on. It reminds me of Ho-Oh. So
I hate you so much.
This one is called the Sari Manok, which is male, or the Papanok, which is female. And it's just a lucky legendary bird. So it is kind of like Ho-Oh, which is, by the way, if you've never seen or played Pokemon, you guys should. It's in the first episode of the original season of Pokemon, and it's just this shiny, legendary bird that Ash sees fly across the sky. And, okay, so this is going to be a tangent, but I want to know how many of you folks believe in this new thing that... You believe in it?
Yeah.
That Adam told me. So apparently the reason why Ash never grows up and he's eternally 10 or whatever is because he saw Ho-Oh in that first episode. And apparently Ho-Oh grants the wishes of anyone who sees it. And his wish is to be like the best Pokemon trainer or to catch them all.
I think it's to be a kid and catch Pokemon forever.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. That's just a theory. It's not like there's an actual rule book by this.
It's just such a weird theory, you know? And whoever thought it up was probably like, yeah, I like this.
What I will say is if his wish was to be the very best, then Ho-Oh really took its sweet-ass time granting that wish, because that kid sucks. He spent so many years getting his ass kicked. This is a true story. I was super sick like 5 or 6 years ago. I had like 103 fever. I was living in Arizona at the time. Robin came down. She was putting like cold washcloths on my head to keep my brain from boiling. And during that time, I was like in and out of consciousness for like 24 to 36 hours just laying on my couch. And this bitch watched Pokemon while she was taking care of me. And
like
all I could remember,
episode 1 of the OG.
All I could remember is like I'd wake up and this kid would lose a fucking battle. And when I started to get better, I was like, does he ever win, or does he spend the show getting his ass kicked? She's like, no, he He loses a lot.
Well, he loses a lot, but then he makes friends with the gym leaders,
Right.
you know, and he kind of learns how to fight these gym leaders, and it's just something that he kind of gains experience, but he also makes friendships along the way, and it's just a whole learning experience.
Adventure
for
is
this
a
little
journey,
10-year-old.
not a destination. I
Aw,
got you.
that's cute.
It's from a fortune cookie.
Is it really?
Yeah, some guy gave an entire speech at my commencement for graduation of college based off of that stupid saying that he found in a fortune cookie.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, well, that's stuck in my brain forever. Thanks for that, asshole.
Nice.
Circling back on this creature.
Okay.
So the name is Sarumanuk.
Sorry, sorry.
Manuk.
Manuk.
Sarumanuk is the guy.
Yeah.
And then the female version is Papamanuk.
Papanuk.
So the one that has Papa in the name is the lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know the language.
I understand. That'll be like a way that I can remember it. Just trying to make it so everyone can remember. Like, Papa does not mean man in this case. It just means lady.
Why do you gotta say lady like Foxy? Lady.
I say it like the ladies' man with Tim Meadows from back in the early 2000s, late 90s.
I don't know who that is.
I Hate You So Much. It's an amazing movie. It has Will Ferrell and Tim Meadows.
Who's Tim Meadows?
He's the ladies' man.
But who is he?
Okay, it's a skit from SNL.
No,
where
but
it's
who
this
is
guy.
Tim Meadows?
I don't know how to describe him to you because you won't know anything he's ever been in.
Are you sure?
Positive.
What is
Walk
he?
Hard. He's the agent, or he's the drummer, I think. Who's like, you're not going to know any of these roles. Do you remember what the hell's the name of that pop star? Never Stop, Never Stoppin'?
Yeah.
His agent, the black dude.
No.
Nope, not at all. You're not going to remember him, so there's no
Okay,
point.
Anyway, back to the actual topic at hand. So, this legendary bird is usually depicted as a bird with colorful wings and a long feathered tail, like Ho-Oh. I mean, it wasn't super colorful, but it had a long tail, right? I mean, you don't remember. It had a long tail. It's usually holding either a fish in its beak. Well, not either. Okay.
Are we talking about Ho-Oh or are we talking about this creature?
No, we're talking
I'm
about
confused.
the creature. Shit. Okay. So, this creature is usually holding a fish either in its beak or in its talons.
So it's water type. And water flying.
It's just how it's depicted. This is like when people make totems and people make statues, figures, and stuff like that. That's usually how it's depicted. Some people will put it with flags. They'll have flags around it. But I was reading a lot of different ways that it's kind of pictured on stuff, and a lot of people's emblems. And what are those things called when you have a house seal or something? They
Crests.
Yeah, crests. A lot of people have it on their crests and stuff like that. So the head is usually covered in very swirly colors, and it's super nice, shiny. Just think sparkly legendary bird. Okay.
Gotcha.
And apparently its name is derived from the words sari, which is a colorful, not S-O-R-R-Y, but S-A-R-I.
Sorry.
Damn it. Which is a colorful garment, and then manok, which means chicken. So, it's a colorful chicken, which, I mean, makes somewhat sense. It's a little...
Does it live in that other creature's mouth? Because I think we just combined two of these.
Oh, shit! No, because it's colorful. It's not black. The other thing has to be black. And this bird is said to just bring good fortune to anyone who's able to catch it.
Wow.
Like Hobo.
I hate you.
But that is the story of the Sarimanok.
Sarumanuk. Okay, cool.
I don't know how to say that.
I'm glad that we kind of figured out how to say it now that we're done with it, and we'll never say it again. But that was pretty good. There's a lot of stuff from the Philippines that we could have covered, so I'm sure we'll go back to it at some point.
Yeah.
I hope people aren't like, you missed this one, you missed that one. Just let us know other ones you'd like to see us cover.
Yeah.
Because we definitely want to go back to it. But that was really good.
Thank you.
So before we move forward, we're going to take a quick break just for some ads. So hang on. And we're back. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. So, I'm covering a curse. I actually am not covering a curse. I'm covering 3 legendary creatures known as Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos.
You say them so weird.
It's just how I've always read them. I've never watched the show,
Moltres.
so I'm not sure I'm supposed to say it. I say it like I read them when I was a kid. So fudge you, fudge off, get the fudge out.
Oh, it's fine because Hermione.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Hermione.
Yeah, no, I said Hermione or something.
I know a couple people that said Hermione, or there's always a different pronunciation.
Hermione.
Hermione. That's
no,
funny.
I said Hermione all the time.
When I read Wheel of Time, there's a character whose name is spelled Egween, and it's Egwene. And I read it as Aegwin because I made it like this beautiful sounding word.
It's because you say like mage.
Actually, Aegwin is a character from World of Warcraft. It's Medivh's mom, but you don't know that because you're not as big of a nerd as I am. So at least when it comes to WoW.
Oh no, I'm not a big nerd with WoW. I don't like the Proudmoore thing. I was like, what the F? Oh,
that's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah,
too,
that's
though,
all.
So. Okay.
Yeah, so,
Anyways, so I have a topic this week that I'm going to cover, and I know that
it's World of Warcraft.
It's World of Warcraft. It's actually the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer, which was fucking incredible.
You know what you should do? Just make that as extra content.
Yeah, I'm going to make it as extra content so those of you over on Patreon can hear me nerd the fuck out and possibly cry for like 10 minutes.
We were kind of both talking about it earlier today, and it was just like, oh man, yeah, you're totally right. Like,
all I'll say is they use a sound bite from the original Ghostbusters movie that is so perfectly placed in a trailer. When I heard it, I got cold chills just now thinking of it.
You're such a nerd. That's so cute.
I was just like, this is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Even though it's not going to be the best movie. It could be good.
I think it's going to be good.
But just seeing that, because it is so deeply attached to my childhood, hearing that line from the original Ghostbusters and seeing the connection that movie's going to have to the original Ghostbusters, I was like, this is going to mean so much to me to watch this. And even if it's not good, it's going to be like Ghostbusters 2, where I understand that people didn't like it.
And then you say all the stupid
lines
I
didn't give a shit, and I fucking love that movie. All right, so that's not my actual topic, but I'm going to talk about it more on some content that I will definitely have to just rant into this microphone for like 10 minutes about. So this week, I was doing some research into the Illuminati. I actually talked about it last week as something I wanted to cover, and after a night of Googling deep secrets of an ancient society, I had some crazy dreams.
Yeah, Men in Black came to the door and were like, bro, you gotta stop.
Well, stop, okay? So the next day I went to work, and I have kind of a long walk from the parking lot to the door of my office, and it's like several hundred feet, so it's a little bit of a long walk. And as I'm walking in, I looked over and I saw this guy in a black suit with a white shirt and a black tie staring at me. And this isn't totally abnormal because I do work at a place that has business dress code. So suits are normal.
Was he tall?
He wasn't tall. He was just like average. He was average in every way. He was forgettable. And so he had on black sunglasses and a black hat. And it just felt like he was looking at me. No umbrella. It wasn't raining. So I went inside.
That's the weird part about it. It's not raining and they have an
umbrella. It's not raining in Vegas? Nah. Oh, no. He didn't have an umbrella, so it doesn't matter. So I went inside, and the dude stayed in the same spot. So I thought, like, fuck it. Who cares? And later, I went out for lunch. I hit up Taco Bell. Those chicken rollers are back, y'all.
Yo, those taquitos are so effing good.
They're okay.
They're really crunchy.
I make some baller-ass chicken taquitos.
Yeah, I know, but those, for fast food taquitos...
They're pretty good. So,
and they come with guac or cheese. Hello!
As I was sitting in the drive-thru, ready to get my clogged arteries going, I felt like I was being watched. So I looked around, and I didn't see anyone. So I was like, I'm good. And I figured it was just in my head, because that dude was creepy earlier. So I got to the window, I gave my money, and this lady gave me my food, and I was so happy. I looked back at her, and she gave me my card back with my receipt. And then I looked in the restaurant, because you can see in through the drive-thru window. You can see who's like standing at the register. And standing at the register was this guy in a black suit with a white shirt and a black tie. And he had the sunglasses and the hat still on indoors. And he was staring directly at me. And the chick that was taking the money was like, sir, you need to order or you need to leave. Because he had apparently been standing there for a while. But he's staring at me. So I just took my food back to work and I ate at my desk on the 3rd floor so I could feel safe. So...
God, I hate you right now. This story has nothing to do.
So the end of the night winds up hitting, and I make sure to walk out with a big group of people because there's strength in numbers, So I walk towards my car, and people start to thin out because my car is actually really far away. And before I know it,
only a couple hundred feet.
That's pretty far away, dude. A few hundred feet is a ways. So before I know it, it's just me, and I'm walking to my car in the dark. Because at 5 o'clock, it's dark out in Vegas at this point. And I'm looking all around, and I don't see anyone. But I get to my car, I unlock it with my keyless entry, which is something Robin doesn't understand.
What?
And because you wait till people get to the door and try and open it before you unlock it with keyless entry.
It's because it takes me forever to get the keys out of my pocket or my purse or my backpack.
But right as I got to my door, and I went to reach for it. I dropped my fucking keys.
Was he under the car?
And I reached down.
Did he hold your hands?
I reached down to the ground. I grab my keys. I stand up. And as soon as I stand up, I reach down for maybe half a second. The dude in a fucking black suit with a white shirt and a black tie is right there in front of me. I could have spit in his face. He was so close to me. And immediately my instinct is to just throat punch him. But I think maybe, just maybe, this dude actually works here and it's all just been a coincidence running into him. And then this dude that's still wearing this hat and still wearing these sunglasses in the pitch black, he leans into me, almost like he's going to smell me. So I lean back a little bit to get away from him, and he whispers, "So we've been trying to reach you about your car warranty." So I screamed like a little girl. And I threw both my fists forward, not like a proper punch technique, but when you fold your fingers down when they're flat and then you just throw them out in front of you. And right when I was going to make contact, he just disappeared.
You're so annoying.
So I jumped in my car, turned it on, and flew home. And through all this, I think one thing can clearly be learned. I didn't finish my Illuminati script, so just get off my fucking back about this, okay, people? There's a lot to go through. It's been a really rough week.
So you don't know the thing with the guy in the suit with the umbrella, the guy in the picture for JFK? After JFK got shot, there was a picture of a guy. It wasn't raining. It was just this guy.
People use umbrellas to block out the sun, too.
Yeah, right? I know, but he was the only guy on this hill with an umbrella, suit, tie, umbrella. It was
Some
just this
people
weird,
wear suits and
it's
ties
just this
and
big
umbrellas.
Conspiracy theory that he's the one that did it or something.
That makes no sense. Oh, because the umbrella is a sniper rifle that no one saw him shoot out
or
of?
Or it was a signal or something like that. I don't know. I'm not that. I'm going to cover conspiracy theories later, okay? But that's why I kept mentioning an umbrella.
Quit covering my bullshit story with your bullshit story, okay?
Yeah, fuck you.
What's funny is I wrote this because I was like, it'll be a fun joke and I can bring back that old car warranty trick. Because I didn't think that this topic was going to be that long. And then I was like, oh, this curse is a lot deeper than I thought. So
why didn't you just delete that whole stupid story?
I wrote it. I'm not going to fucking delete it. Why would I do that?
Anyway.
So, anyways, here's a topic about a curse. So, our topic this evening...
This whole topic is cursed. Jesus Christ.
So our topic this evening starts in the long, long ago, the ancient times known as the 70s.
Oh
and
God.
Before I continue...
Was there a guy on a hill with the umbrella?
That's the 60s, you stupid asshole. It's 1963. We watched a whole fucking series with James Franco.
Oh, we did?
Leading up to the day that happens.
God. You're
and
totally
the fucking
right.
name of the
11,
series.
What is it?
11/22/63.
Oh, yeah.
You're stupid.
God, shut up.
Okay, anyways, how do the trees know?
Oh my...
Don't hit me.
Ugh.
Okay, before I continue...
I just want to beat you so bad.
I will state that's an inside joke I'll tell you guys about later when she's not angry.
No, I thought we already said that story. Did we?
I told it earlier today to my Uncle Gary.
Well, no, I thought we said that on the show. It doesn't matter. Fine, he'll tell you later.
Okay. Anyways, curse topic starts in the 70s. Before I continue, I will state that parts of this tale could all be bullshit. What's really creepy about this is all the parts that are not bullshit, that are 100% true, which is the vast majority of what I'm about to tell you. So... the year we're visiting in particular in the 70s is 1972. You all remember 1972, right?
10 years from 1962.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
A year
Good for
before
you with that math.
1963.
Well, if not, let me refresh your memory. Gas at the time cost 55 cents a gallon. The average house cost $27,500.
Wow, how is it so cheap?
Average rent was $165, and the average household income was $11,800.
Oh, that's why it's so cheap. Okay.
Lots of terrorism. The Godfather came out that year. HBO launched that year. Pong came out that year.
HBO has been around that long?
Yep, it sure has. It was the first of its kind to be a subscription-based television service.
Really?
Yep. So it basically pioneered the whole thing, and their model has been copied by pretty much everyone.
Like Skinamax?
No, like
Stars.
Netflix, all the streaming services. Anyways, everyone remembers 1972. I was negative 13 at the time. What else happened? Well... on June 24th, 1972, one other thing happened. This thing would originate in Catalina, I hope I'm saying it right, Puerto Rico. To be even more precise, our story starts at 8:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At that time, Flight 191 would depart.
Oh man, it's a plane curse.
Aboard the flight were 18 passengers and a crew of 2. That's right, 2. A pilot and a co-pilot.
How are there so many people with only 2 crew
18
members?
passengers isn't really a lot, so it's not a big plane. Their destination was the Ponce International Airport, which is like south and then west on the island. So the flight was going pretty well until they got to the tricky part, which is funny because I wrote this before we talked to my Uncle Gary, the landing, which is the part that scares me the most. At approximately 11:17 Eastern Standard Time, Flight 191 attempted a landing that was initially successful. The tires touched down on the runway.
It was initially successful?
Immediately after landing, the pilot of Flight 191 pulled the aircraft back into the air. This maneuver is one that everyone involved in the investigation of what took place here agree meant one thing. There was an obstruction on the runway. It's the only reason he would have done that. Witnesses state that while driving past on the freeway, they saw lights on the runway as Flight 191 attempted to land. Again, this is 11:17 p.m. at night. This plane is trying to land. Witnesses say they see lights on the runway. The plane pulls up to avoid whatever is on this runway. People pull over on the freeway to see what the fuck is about to happen because it's not going to be good. Witnesses state that while driving past, these lights were present. People on the highway were just baffled at what was about to occur. It was claimed that the pilot saw a vehicle on the runway and made an attempt to avoid a collision by pulling up. So for those of you that have experienced this aborted landing, which is a thing, and Robin and I have been in a plane when this has happened once, where we missed the runway, and you think you're about to touch down to Earth, and the next thing you know,
you're going up.
You're banking at a really steep angle as fast as that fucking plane will pull you into the sky. It is kind of terrifying. You get slammed back into your seat. Your equilibrium is thrown off. You're at an angle that you can't quite understand, even if you're looking out the window, because the plane just pitches up, and it's scary as shit. The best way I can put it. It's definitely very scary.
Not that taking a poop is scary or anything.
What?
Because you said scary as shit.
I hate you. I'll paint this picture for you as a passenger strapped in. All that stuff happened. You felt that plane touch down. And at that moment when the plane is supposed to start braking, that loud noise, and you feel yourself lurch forward from all the braking, the plane hesitates slightly, and then you lurch upwards. And you would be slammed back in your seat, just like I said, and thrown through this loop not knowing what's going on. And the sound is incredible because the engines are at max bore. And the engine, in this case, is struggling to lift you back into the air at this ridiculous angle. And then, on this particular flight, if you were a passenger, you would not hear much sound at all.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because the engines on Flight 191 stalled.
Oh, no.
And you would feel the acceleration stop. And then a short descent, because they didn't get very far off the ground. And the next thing you would feel is the aircraft make contact with the ground. Now, remember that angle the plane was at trying to go up in the air.
So it's like the back of the plane hit first?
The back of the plane hits first, which means that as this plane comes down to the earth,
like crushing down
one major event occurs. It's not like it's standing straight up like a Pringles can. It's at an angle.
Okay.
So the ass end hits first. And then what happens? The front end comes down. So the nose, which was straight up in the fucking air, just came crashing down. It landed on the ground.
Oh, but it
didn't crush anything below it. There were 20 people on board, 2 crew, 18 passengers. 5 would die. The other 15 would be severely injured. The cockpit was absolutely and entirely destroyed. The 2 pilots were dead, along with 3 passengers. The lights they saw on the runway, the lights that witnesses say they saw on the runway, do you know what they were?
What?
No, I'm asking you, do you know what they were? Because no one knows what the fuck was on the runway that night. It is a mystery to this day. No one knows. Everything I just read you... Even though they saw it. Even though there was investigation. Because everything I just read you isn't from some website talking about this plane crash. It's from the NTSB, or National Transportation Safety Board report, which I have pulled before on previous episodes where I've covered plane crashes, because anytime a plane crashes, there has to be a massive investigation, which there was. This report was released on December 20th, 1972, a few months after the crash. The report accounts for so much regarding what could have been on the runway. Flight 190 left the airport around 15 minutes prior to Flight 191's arrival. All the vehicles at the airport were accounted for except for one, the Port Authority pickup truck.
What?
When the other vehicles set off to the accident once this happened, 2 special police agents both stated to the investigators they saw the Port Authority pickup truck was proceeding down the runway in the wrong direction, not towards the accident, with its headlights off at 11:20 at night.
That's sketchy as fuck.
The passenger door of the truck was open. They recognized the driver and they called out to him, which I imagine was, "What the fuck are you doing?" He did not reply. The man that they said they saw was interviewed and maintains that he was not at the airport at any point that night.
How do they know?
And apparently his alibi held up because he was not found responsible or blamed in any way, shape, or form. The official probable cause on this report is that there was a presence of an unauthorized vehicle on the runway that caused the pilot to attempt a go-around, which is when you GTFO. There's actually an abbreviation.
Just touched the ground, so it's like he was already
stopping. He saw something and was like, shit, I have to get off this runway or we're going to hit it. And that's what happened. Witnesses also claim they saw lights in the ground, but there are no aircraft on the runway. That's completely accounted for, and they insist that it wasn't any official vehicle. So that's really odd, right? Like, something they might want to look into again, since this seems to be bizarre and people died. Well, they did look into it again. They did a second report, which was released on December 17th, 1975, 3 years later.
Why would they do that 3 years later?
Because it didn't make any sense, and people were really freaked out about it. The findings are similar in the second report. I've read them both, except for one major difference that changes the probable cause of the accident. That difference is that there is no evidence whatsoever of any obstruction on the runway. They basically interviewed the witnesses and were like, because we can't find anything, what you say does not matter.
Wow.
The official cause is now, and has been since they changed it in 1975, that this is the final line in the report, and it reads as follows. Quote, "The crew's reasons for rejecting the landing are not known."
Wow.
That's how the official report ends. So, kind of creepy,
I'd rather have the first
right?
report than the second report. That
right?
just is like...
It's really creepy. And I mean, like, it could definitely have been a vehicle on the runway and, like, lack of evidence to pin it on someone, so they just made it like it's the pilot's fault. They're dead, so we're just going to blame them, which is
messed up.
So shitty. But it's just a little suspicious. It's a creepy thing. It's a suspicious thing. I think this is more a human cover-up, but who knows, right? Mm-hmm. Solid topic. Well, not yet.
Is it like Final Destination,
because
where everyone's going to start getting killed off?
I'm not done yet. So, now we're going to take another step forward in time. We went from 72 to 75. We're staying in the 70s, though. We're jumping to 1979. Y'all remember 1979, right?
No.
Gas cost 86 cents.
Oh, jelly.
Average house was $58,100. Average rent was $280. Average household income was $17,500.
Wow.
Still lots of terrorism. ESPN launched in 1979.
ESPN?
3 Mile Island nuclear reactor set on fire. That's when the 3 Mile Island disaster happened. Lots of movies came out in 1979. I like to always check the movies. Here's some movies. Superman, which has a curse, by the way, which will be covered. Rocky II, Alien, Star Trek, Amityville Horror, Moonraker, Deer Hunter, and Kramer vs. Kramer. That's a huge year for motion pictures. Those are all really good movies.
You like Moonraker?
Yeah. You don't?
No.
Fuck you. Okay.
Oh my god, there's better ones out
there.
So,
anyways, another video game, Asteroids, comes out that year. Wow. Pretty cool stuff. Everyone remembers 1979. Am I right? I was -6 at the time.
-6?
What else happened? Well,
I was -10.
Wow. On May 25th, 1979, one other thing happened. This would originate in Chicago, Illinois. To be even more precise, our story continues at 3:04 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, what happened this time? Well, actually, let's rewind it from that time. Let's rewind it about 45 minutes because let's just say the story starts with a bunch of folks standing around a gate at O'Hare International Airport, which we fly into all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Literally all the time. They start boarding along with the crew. How many people? Well, this time, 13 crew members, 258 passengers. Grand total of 271 people on board flight 191.
Does this flight disappear for 5 years and then show back up on the runway?
You didn't.
And everyone on the plane is the same age.
This isn't a shitty sitcom. So this ends how that show would have ended. So
what?
Spoiler alert. Did you notice the flight number on this one?
191 is the same flight as the first flight.
Same flight number,
Yeah.
191. So now let's catch back up to 3:04 p.m. Central Standard Time. Flight 191, which this time was an American Airlines flight, which is going to be important here in a sec, is ready for takeoff. Anyone who has flown knows the sensation of taking off. You might not have been in an aborted landing, but you've surely taken off if you've been on a plane. The noise just kicks up, you get slammed back in your seat, and you start moving down that runway. The airport terminal starts to whiz by, and you just watch the plane go faster and faster while it shakes from the friction of the earth, the tires, and then all of a sudden, it just stops shaking. You feel pulled down in your seat a little bit, and the plane tips you back as you shuffle loose from Earth's gravity and engage in the miracle of flight.
You're so cute. It's not even funny.
But on this day, if you were in this plane, after you took off, you would have started to feel a vibration while you were in the sky. And maybe 10 seconds of being in the sky, you'd suddenly hear some very, very horrific sounds.
What?
Like metal ripping and tearing apart. What is
was
bizarre about this event is that there's no audio collected from the black box.
How is there no audio
They
collected?
don't know, except for a loud thumping noise, which would have been a shock-inducing bang if you were aboard that flight, followed by the first officer shouting, "Damn!" That is where the recording ends.
What?
The sound that is recorded is one of the two engines, the left one,
Exploding?
ripping off the fucking aircraft.
What?
There's a catastrophic failure on this engine, and what happened was, and here's the thing, I've seen a video simulation of this, because I went balls deep in this topic.
Oh, that's what you were watching?
Yeah. So, essentially what happened is a part failed, the engine, which always sits underneath the wing, flipped up, ripped off, and flew off into the sky.
Oh my god.
While they're taking off. Like, I don't think they had actually pulled up yet. They're just about to start pulling up when this happens. It doesn't clip the plane at all. The plane actually stayed fairly stable.
Well, that plane's going like 200 plus miles per hour.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And this thing just rips off. So that thing's going back that fast. Like,
So let me give you the rest of the details
Oh my
on
God.
this flight. The
Oh,
plane,
this is insane.
The plane actually stayed fairly stable as it began to climb into the sky.
it still went?
Yeah, the
Without
pilots
an engine?
attempted to turn the plane around to head back to the airport. Here's where I get really tripped up when I have really good scripts like I have tonight. I start giving you details from further along because I get really, really excited. So I'm going to try and not do that. When it turned, things went really, really wrong. Guess which direction they turned? They turned left.
What's wrong with turning left?
They don't have a fucking engine on the left side of the plane. And now they're going to bank this massive plane left with no pole on the left wing. So, the airplane banks left and then begins to roll. And to get an idea of what this looked like,
God.
imagine a plane
This is really stressful.
and how a plane looks as it flies. The best way you can do this, and I'm going to make you do this right now, use your hand. Just make your hand flat and hold it in front of you.
Okay.
That's your plane, okay?
Yeah.
So, while you're doing this, make it flat
Yeah.
and then tilt it to the left like you're starting
And
to
so
twist.
this engine's pulling it this way.
Correct.
Holy crap.
Keep your hand out.
Oh, God. Okay.
Now imagine someone holding your wrist and forcing it as hard as they possibly can, harder than you can resist, to rotate your hand more and more left as you're trying to push back on it. And that's what these pilots are trying to do to keep this plane from doing this. Until your hand is perpendicular to the ground.
Oh, my God.
And once you have it there and you realize how terrifying that this would be to either be a pilot or a passenger in here, then twist it just a little bit more left.
It's so stressful.
Now, picture that as an airplane holding 271 living souls. And that is what this aircraft
I hope
looked
everyone
like
had their fucking seatbelt on.
less than a minute after takeoff. And for those of you who cannot picture this in your mind's eye, but actually want to, there's a picture of this on our Instagram. Because there's a photo from O'Hare International Airport of this plane when this happened. So, you can see it on our Instagram. It is literally terrifying. Just looking at it, you know this is absolutely unrecoverable. You can see the smoke coming off of the wing where the engine is no longer there. So, the plane did not make it back to the runway. It came crashing down to earth at the edge of O'Hare Airport, landing in a field less than a mile, just barely under a mile away from the runway. The crash was so catastrophic that it flung pieces of the plane hundreds of feet away, which found their way into a nearby trailer park, 5 trailers and multiple cars were completely destroyed from the debris.
Wow.
The plane itself wound up crashing into an aircraft hangar as it continued to go along the ground. And a nearby repair garage also had debris come bursting through it. There were 271 people on board of Flight 191. There were 273 casualties. Everyone on board the aircraft died, along with 2 people who were in that repair garage that was demolished. 2 additional people in that garage were severely burned but survived. It is one of the most horrific plane crashes in the history of aviation, and certainly in the history of Chicago.
This is what. Oh my gosh.
So what the fuck happened here? I kind of already gave away some details that the engine ripped off the plane and just flew off. So that wasn't all that happened. So the engine wasn't properly maintained by American Airlines for a while. The investigation revealed that they have a ton of violations.
Cutting corners.
I have not seen a recommendation section in one of these reports like this one. Because everyone involved got nailed to the fucking wall. They had every citation they could possibly put on the person who was supposed to be doing the maintenance across the board, against the airline, against the manufacturer because it wasn't manufactured properly.
Wow.
What they also discovered when this happened was that when this started to fail and the engine started to rip off, that the way it was constructed, the pilots were not alerted properly. There's all those fucking lights and switches and knobs in an airplane.
Which is why they kept taking off?
They didn't know they were without an engine.
Holy
They thought something
crap.
was wrong and they needed to abort the takeoff, which means turn around. So they took off unaware that the engine wasn't on the fucking plane. And it's because when it ripped off, it basically took a bunch of the electronics with it, which is also probably why it didn't record at the black box.
Oh, man.
And there were no redundancies in place where if one of these systems failed, some other electronics within the airplane will let you know you're missing a fucking engine.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
basically everything that could go wrong here went wrong. And
Dude, oh my gosh, this is such a stressful topic.
Yeah.
Thanks. Jeez.
But at least for this Flight 191, there wasn't a mystery contestant on the runway that directly contributed to the accident. So there's nothing really creepy here. It's just terrifying, right? Except for the flight also being numbered 191. Well, not exactly. So not long after this horrific tragedy, people near the airport started to report seeing stuff that was a bit strange. Multiple reports from homeowners in the neighborhood paint similar pictures to each other. Let's picture you as a homeowner. You'd be, I don't know, at home making a sandwich or drinking chocolate milk or smoking crack. I don't fucking know what you do with your free time. But there would be a knock at your door. You would go to your door and you'd open it and there'd be a person standing there and they'd be stressed out and they would mention one of 2 things or both. They need to make a connecting flight or they can't find their luggage. And they're stressed out and they're freaking out and this erratic behavior would feel off. And as soon as you went to ask them more, the questions that you'd normally ask someone at your doorstep that would say these things, they would vanish. You just blinked and they were gone.
Shut up.
Yep.
Shut up.
Reports from all around the airport.
No, shut up.
No
Ghosts.
joke. This is something
Really,
that's
ghosts?
I don't know if it's for real. This is it could be bullshit part, but these reports came in after this happened.
Fucking
It could be the fact that
crazy.
people were traumatized because they lived near the fucking airport and 275 people died right next to them. People also started to report seeing random people walking along the road near the airport, but when you do a double take or stop to talk to them, they would suddenly vanish.
I have chills. I have chills. Literal chills.
Are they multiplying?
Oh, yeah.
There were even reports of strange lights along the roadway as well that could not be explained.
Oh, my God.
So that is crazy, right? 2 flights with the same number having catastrophic crashes.
This is the coolest topic.
What are the odds? They should just stop using the number 191, right? But they didn't. I know they didn't because we're going to step forward in time again.
Oh, my God.
The year, 1985. You all remember 1985, right? Gas cost $1.88 a gallon. The average house cost $89,300. The average rent was $375. Average income per household was $22,100, so that's not really going up the way it should for the price of everything else is. Terrorism had been eradicated and peace reigned.
No
LOL,
way.
JK, there was still plenty. And the Unabomber got his first kill that year, in fact.
Jeez.
Live Aid happened, for those of you who have seen the Queen documentary or biopic for Freddie Mercury. New Coke was released, which was a catastrophic failure which then released Coca-Cola Classic, bringing back the original Coke, and they made billions of fucking dollars.
Oh my god. What was New Coke? What did it taste like?
It was just more sugary, I think.
Ew.
It's different. They're a different formula. Calvin and Hobbes debuted in newspapers.
Oh, cute.
Nintendo Entertainment System hit the U.S.
Woo!
Michael Jordan won Rookie of the Year. The Chicago Bears had one of the greatest seasons of football ever.
They won the Super Bowl that year.
They did, but it was actually in 1986 when the 1985-86 season culminated.
I see. Okay.
So I'm very careful about that. Adam Diaz launched that year.
Oh, you were born?
May 11th, 1985. Movies that year, Back to the Future, Rambo 2, Rocky 4, Mad Max 3, the Thunderdome one.
Did you see they're making a new Mad Max?
Yeah, I don't know how real that is, though. I don't trust it until I hear more. The games in 1985, Super Mario Brothers, Paperboy, Gradius, plus a million other ones.
Holy shit, that's a lot of games.
Pretty sure 1986 was Legend of Zelda, which bums me out. I wish it was the same year as I was born. But what else? What else happened? Well, August 2nd, 1985. Let's not fuck around. Let's just jump into this. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Heading to LA, 163 people on this plane, 152 passengers, 11 crew members, all on board Delta Airlines Flight 191. The same number again. Flight 191 leaves Florida at 2:10 Central Standard Time in the afternoon. This time, there was a scheduled stop. Dallas-Fort Worth, another airport we're in a lot, another airport we talked about tonight. After I started writing the script, the weather was not great, but the air traffic controllers...
Did you already know this?
And the flight crew...
airport today?
I was right here when we went to the airport today.
Oh my gosh.
And the flight crew were taking precautions to avoid anything to make sure something wouldn't go wrong. I've read this script between the flight crew and the tower, and they were just going back and forth avoiding storms while they were approaching Dallas-Fort Worth. On the approach, the air traffic controller and the pilot were adjusting back and forth, and at one point the air traffic controller attempted to give them a heading that would lead them through a storm. And the pilot requested they avoid it. And the air traffic controller said, "Aight." And they did. They changed their course again. In front of this flight 191 was Learjet 25, which was approaching on the same heading, the same course that flight 191 would wind up taking. They didn't report any difficult weather. They were asked later why they didn't report any difficult weather, and they said because they only encountered heavy rain. That is it. Between 6:03 p.m. and 6:06 p.m., 3 minutes, everything would change. Flight 191 would be approaching Dallas-Fort Worth in the same path that Learjet 25 went. 6:04 p.m., lightning began to spring out around the aircraft from this storm that previously had not existed.
Oh my gosh.
The first officer stated, quote, "Lightning coming out of that one right ahead of us." The captain stated, quote, "Push it up, push it way up." Like, get the fuck away from the storm. As soon as they noted it, that's what the captain said. Keep that in mind. A few seconds later, the engines were audible on the recording because it's so noisy when you crank the fucking engines up.
Yeah.
Over the sound of the engines being cranked up was the sound of rain pummeling the fucking aircraft. The captain says...
This is a freak storm.
The captain says, "That's it." 10 seconds later, the captain yells, "Hang on to the son of a bitch." The plane was now...
I have chills.
What they say in aviation terms, super fucked.
What?
The descent down was at a speed of 34 miles per hour. That's how fast that they are falling from the sky at this point. We'll get to it.
Oh, gosh.
You want to know how fast you'd be falling from the sky? Get in your car, drive 34 miles per hour, roll down the window so you can feel the wind on your face, then imagine falling out of the fucking sky at that speed. They tried to pull up and circle around again to do another approach, and that did serve to lift the nose and reduce the speed of their descent.
Oh, that's good.
But not entirely.
Oh, God, that's bad.
The plane, I think they said they reduced the speed of the descent to like 6 miles per hour downward. But the plane landed in a plowed field just over a mile north of the runway.
Shut
Again.
up. Shut up.
It dragged its way through the field and went onto Highway 114. When it got onto Highway 114, it entered the road doing a cool 200 miles per hour. Its left engine again, struck a car. The driver was 28 years old. He was killed instantly.
Jesus.
It hit multiple streetlights as it continued down the highway.
Oh my God. I'm just like... I'm like moving in my chair so much because I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god.
And it's
oh my
almost
god.
3 a.m. right now, too. You're wide awake, aren't you? So now, when a plane moving this fast is striking cars and streetlights moving down a highway, something happens to it. There's a word for it. It's called disintegrate. And that is what happened to this plane. In addition to that, the cabin then set on fire. People were unbuckling their seatbelts while the plane was disintegrating around them to avoid being burned to death by jet fuel leaking into the cabin and lighting on fire. One survivor, because people survived this, stated that he watched other passengers take off their seatbelts to escape the blaze. He remained locked in, like he chose that he was going to die being burned to death rather than being tossed around. And he survived. And the only reason he survived is that plane had disintegrated so much around him.
His seat just fell out of the
plane.
plane.
It allowed the massive amounts of rain that were pummeling the aircraft to pour onto him and keep him drenched, preventing him from starting on fire. It finally reached the airport and collided with water tanks that were at the edge of the property. Despite them being filled with water, the plane twisted. Like, imagine like when a car frame twists, like the impact it takes to make a car frame twist.
Yeah.
This plane hit these water tanks, twisted, and then the fuselage twisted as well, which, holds the jet fuel, which caused the plane to explode.
Oh my god.
163 people were on board, 136 people died, 27 remain injured, and those 27 survived the crash.
Holy crap.
So
dude.
what the fuck happened this time?
Oh my god. Oh, this is just the most stressful thing to listen to.
Well, you remember when I talked about storms on a previous episode? I think it was the Bermuda Triangle episode.
Yeah.
You remember the word microburst?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happened. A stormy day suddenly produced, without warning, a small, centralized storm with the power of essentially a hurricane and a tornado. And that just happened to be right where the plane would fly that another plane had just flown through. And they said they caught heavy rain, so maybe they caught the beginning of it. No one really knows. Microbursts can produce massive amounts of lightning, hail, rain, and the worst part is the downdraft, which is essentially a bomb made of air aimed straight down.
Which is why they descended so fast.
That travels at, up to 150 miles per hour, recorded. So it literally can just destroy buildings if it happens in the wrong spot. I was reading a list of buildings that were devastated and people that died in like apartment buildings because microburst showed up and the downdraft flattened the fucking building.
Oh my god.
It's crazy, dude. The cause of the crash, according to the NTSB report that I read, the flight crews, this is the exact cause on the report. The flight crew's decision to fly into a storm they observed lightning coming out of. That's what they said was the cause of this.
Even though they've heard the box and they're like, whoa, what the
As
F?
soon as they see lightning, he's like, get the fuck away from it. As soon as they see it. Pretty sure in those quotes we read, that's what happened. I think it's pretty fucked up that they blame the flight crew. This flight seemed pretty doomed no matter what they tried to do.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault. It's just like natural cause. But I don't know what it is with these people that are like, we have to blame the flight crew.
They always blame the pilot. They always do.
What is
it's
that one movie
nuts.
where they do that with Tom Hanks? Sully. Where he was like, bruh, I did the right thing. And
he saved literally everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 3 Flight 191s with
Please
horrible
tell me
results.
that they don't use that flight number anymore.
Well, I'll get to it. As you can probably guess, it's my next sentence. The best way to describe this number being associated with so many crashes is a statistical anomaly, which is math's way of saying that this number is cursed.
Oh my god.
And I know that I said that this could all be bullshit, but that was really more about the ghost thing than anything else. And it may be hard to believe, but 3 planes with Flight 191 assigned as their number did crash. Some airlines have unofficially stopped assigning flights
Shut up.
number 191 because the suspicion is now so strong. And if you don't believe me,
just watch.
You shouldn't. Because 3 Flight 191s didn't crash.
What?
We're moving forward to 2006.
Oh god.
Y'all remember 2006, don't you?
Oh man.
Gas cost $3.03.
My brain. My brain.
Average house cost $266,000.
Topic is sick.
Average rent was $950. Average income $37,900.
Dude.
Income did not scale with everything else. Fuck you, boomers. Anyways, terrorism? Oh yeah, still around. Google buys YouTube in 2006. Nintendo Wii got released. I stood in the rain for 18 hours when it was 40 degrees outside and I got mine. I had the amount that it would cost to get the Nintendo Wii and Twilight Princess to the penny. Nothing else left to my name. And I was trying to figure out, like, they didn't change sales tax, did they? Because if they do and I'm a couple pennies short, I'll kill myself. Turns out I was right. I went home. I had hypothermia, I'm pretty sure. I played Twilight Princess for like 12 hours and I slept for a day. So, what else? Pluto got reduced from being a planet. Movies that came out, 2006, Superman Returns, another Superman movie. Thank You for Smoking, which was really good. The Departed. Games, I mentioned Twilight Princess. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Okami, was pretty good. So what else happened in 2006? Well, August 27th, 2006, Lexington, Kentucky. Com Air is the airline. Who are Com Air? They're Delta, again.
Oh.
So the flight Delta 5191 this time. So not just 191, 5191. It is said on a lot of places on the interwebs that Com Air, because they take the flight from Delta, gives it a new number. The flight was supposedly Com Air Flight 191. Side note, all the reports I can find, which is the NTSB report and the official markings, list this as Com Air Flight 5191 and not just 191. So I'm sure nothing happened because it's listed as 5191, right? 47 passengers, 3 crew. 6:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Air traffic controller goes, "Yo, dog, use runway 22." The pilot goes to runway 26.
What?
No one notices. Side notes on this, there is supposed to be 2 air traffic controllers in the tower at all times. It is a regulation. One? There was only one doing the work of 2 people, which was apparently regular fucking practice at this airport.
Isn't there a movie about that too?
I don't know.
There's a movie about air traffic controllers?
There's a lot of movies about air traffic controllers. If you think of Pushing 10, that doesn't have anything to do with this one.
No. There's like one where this guy is like the best air traffic controller there is. And I think he tries to retire or something like that. I don't remember what happened. But they're like, bro, you need to come back because we suck at this shit.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Never heard of it. Someone let us know what that movie is. But in addition to that, another side note, there was construction on the runways at that time that they had a map that they would look at to figure out which runway was which at the time, and that map incorrectly listed what runway was what. The report, the NTSB report, states that this was not a contributing factor, either stating that they can determine that the pilot and the co-pilot didn't use that map or what, but runway 26 was way shorter than runway 22. If you want to see how much shorter, go to our Instagram because I have the overhead picture of this and you can see it. The plane attempts to take off and you can probably guess what happens. Black Box caught this dialogue as they sped down the runway at 120 miles per hour. The first officer stated, "That is weird with no lights. Runways have lights. It's 6:06 a.m. The runway should have been lit up." You know where they don't have lights? Where they end. And he noticed. The captain replied, "Yeah," at 158 miles per hour.
Oh my god!
The captain then called for the aircraft to lift off.
Press the brake!
But the runway ended. It never achieved liftoff, which means it was on the ground the entire time. It then collided with a, quote, earthen wall, which is a way of saying a manufactured hill.
Holy shit.
Made of dirt and probably trees. Actually, you can see the trees on the picture. At over 160 miles per hour, the impact and incline of the hill did cause the plane to momentarily fly.
Oh my gosh!
They barely hit the fence surrounding the airport. They clipped it with their landing gear before the plane collided with the tree line, essentially like a missile the size of a fucking building that's filled with jet fuel.
Oh my gosh.
It twisted in a mangled mass of steel. The fuselage and the flight deck would separate entirely from the tail. Out of the 50 on board, 49 would die most instantly.
What?
The first officer, who was in the cockpit with his hands on the yoke, survived. He is the sole survivor. The steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
I Googled it. I was like, airplane steering wheel. Yoke. Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, go.
He escaped with just a few injuries. He only had facial fractures, spinal fractures, a broken leg, a broken foot, a broken hand, broken ribs, broken breastbone, collapsed lung. He was in a coma.
Holy shit.
His brain swole. His leg had to be amputated. He has brain damage and no memory of the crash.
Oh,
he would wake,
my God.
He would wake up in the hospital asking, why has God done this to me? I saw an interview from 2006 with his mom, which was horrible to read. It was so sad. He is alive still. He can talk. He can walk. Cause of crash, wrong runway.
Oh, my God.
So 4 or 3.5. If it was 5191, the 5's in there. 3.75. Yeah. But yeah.
3.75.
It's a lot.
Geez.
So, as you can now tell, my topic was actually about a cursed number in aviation, 191. I know some of you have upcoming flights, some into O'Hare. And I sincerely hope you're flying an airline that does not use 191 in the numbers. I know it could all be coincidence, but the statistical likelihood that an aircraft will crash is the lowest for crashing in any form of travel. It's the safest means of travel for any way that we travel. Statistically, that is true. And the fact that with that incredibly small number of incidents that do occur, there have been this many crashes on flights numbered with 191 is absolutely astonishing. Yeah. It is a statistical anomaly that cannot be explained, and you better believe that anytime we fly from now on,
I have to look at the numbers.
I'm checking the flight number.
Holy crap.
I will straight up change flights if we get a flight with 191 in it, because that number is straight up cursed.
We're going on vacation in a couple weeks, and I'm just like, holy shit, we gotta check. Yeah.
I'm going to check it as soon as I'm done with this topic. I'm pretty sure we have the number right now, but that number is cursed. If this was Mythbusters, I'm calling this one confirmed, because that's some freaky shit. And that, my spooky friends, is the curse of Flight 191.
That is so crazy. This is such a good topic, dude.
I looked up one crash, because it was the one in O'Hare, because it's about the ghosts around the airport.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. And I put like Flight 191 crash. I was like, fuck me. Like, this is way bigger than I thought it was. And I found 2, and then I dug a little bit more, and I found 4. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, and I found the NTSB reports for all of them. Like, these are real. These are all straight up real. And I was trying to find like any flight number that's been associated with multiple accidents, and I couldn't fucking find one. I just kept finding stuff about the curse of Flight 191.
That's insane.
So yeah, this one turned out to be really fun.
High five.
You know whose fault this is? The Illuminati, who I'm going to cover one of these days. That goddamn guy in the black suit, white shirt, white tie, black sunglasses, black hat.
Nice.
Pretty sure he was seen at these airports. He's like the Mothman.
Oh, the Mothman.
Who's also been seen around O'Hare Airport.
Dude.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I'm just saying, avoid O'Hare. So.
All right.
But
nice.
Yeah,
thank you for that amazing topic.
God, I hope it's not too freaky for you. I hope this episode was not too long. So,
I loved it. Thank you. I enjoyed it. It was probably one of my more enjoyable episodes.
Episode 105. Still got it.
Okay. Thank you everybody for listening to the episode with us.
So if you folks have any homegrown horrors, any flight terror stories that you want to share with us,
oh my gosh,
any bizarre stuff,
would be too stressful.
Any Filipino legends that we need to look into, anything you want to relate to us, you can email us. Storytime@Scaryish.com is our email address. You can also interact with us on Facebook. For stuff like interactions on the episode, I say go to Facebook.com/Scaryish Podcast and join our group, the Scaryish Spooky Friends group. Talk with us there about stuff. There's always a lot of chat. There's always a bunch of memes as well.
There, we have an episode discussions channel in our Discord.
Absolutely, join there. A lot of folks have been joining Discord again, mainly because we've been mentioning that it exists again. If you want to join, you can go to Scaryish.com, scroll down, and on the right-hand side, there's icons for all of our social medias. Just find the Discord one and click on it. You can also go to our Twitter, which is @ScarishPod, or our Instagram, which is @ScarishPodcast, if you want to reach out to us. And the easiest way to reach out to us, if you don't want to do any of those and you don't have an email address, go to Scaryish.com and click on Contact Us. It's just a form you fill out, you click Submit, it comes straight to us, and we will read your homegrown horrors on the Storytime episodes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Robin, for folks who want to donate to us financially, how can they do so?
If you folks would like to help support us, keep this podcast, I was going to say content.
I thought you were going to say country. I was like,
no,
damn,
to
like
keep
you're
this
going
podcast
deep.
going. Patreon.com/Scaryish Podcast. There are monthly donations. We have a whole bunch of different tiers. Right now I have a whole bunch of stuff up about creating new heart enamel pins that I want to make that are designed after our new logo. So that's kind of cute. If you guys want to check that out. And that's on Patreon. Again, patreon.com/Scaryish Podcast. Then we have one-time donations at coffee, ko-fi.com/Scaryish Podcasts. And yeah, help support us. Keep this content making podcast stuff going.
Yeah, indeed. So I was really excited for this episode. I think it turned out really well.
Yeah,
I hope you
went
folks
really
thought it turned out really well too. So I think that's just about everything we have for episode 105, the 200th episode of Scaryish. If you include
I
the
have to high
storytime
five
ones.
you again because that was really good. But
Thank
now I'm
you.
going to have nightmares going to sleep. Thanks.
I'm going to have nightmares when we get on that plane in about a month. So awesome. But that's everything that we got. So Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.